Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
What if I told you there is a way to participate in the stock market without putting your retirement money at risk? Well, there is. Stay tuned as I show you how I've helped thousands of savers do just that.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, Tony Walker.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it. You don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do. Them that have it get more of it. The less they need it, the more they love it. And it sticks to them like glue. Funny, funny, funny what money can do.
For the past 34 years, I've sold just about every financial product imaginable, from annuities to life insurance to real estate investment trusts to stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and yes, the ever-popular ETFs. Now, last week I shared what I referred to as the investment product spectrum, which we kind of said begins with those assets. In the example I used, a $100 bill, let's say, that money that is in your pocket, completely guaranteed. You know exactly what it's worth. We like to call that real money. And then as you move across that investment spectrum, farther and farther over to the right, over to more speculative investments, and that, yes, can include your stocks and growth mutual funds, we call that funny money. Well, welcome, folks, to the Worry-Free Retirement. I am retirement specialist Tony Walker, and today we are continuing our educational series on the 4 types of annuities and how annuities are helping so many savers worry less about their money, and more importantly, worry less about their retirement. And today, week 3 in our 5-part series, I'm going to discuss one of the most interesting products that in my 34 years in this business, I believe has ever been created for the saver personality. This is a product that when I was first introduced to it in the late 90s, quite frankly, made little or no sense to me. Of course, in the late 90s, the market was going great guns, and you'll see why as an investment advisor in the 90s, I wasn't real particularly fond of this product. But then, as we fast forward to January 3rd, 2019, the date of this recording, this one product alone has allowed me to become one of the largest personal producers of this product, not just in the state of Kentucky and Indiana, but one of the largest personal producers of this product in the entire country. This product is so simple, yet so ingenious, and more importantly, so safe that even with the recent downturns and the ups and downs of the stock market, guess who all of a sudden is starting to sell this product? Wall Street. So before we move on to this product and go into a deep dive as to why you might want to consider investing some of your money in it, let's review the 4 types of annuities and the ones that we're going to be covering. Well, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the variable annuity. That's the one, again, that we covered 2 weeks ago. Variable annuities, they came out kind of in the mid-'80s. Variable annuities are tied to the market. Variable annuities have very, very high fees. And quite frankly, we do not recommend variable annuities for savers. So that's variable annuities, and that's annuity number 1. Last week, the second type of annuity we looked at was something called a fixed interest annuity. And the fixed interest annuity is getting more and more popular because as short-term interest rates increase, the interest rates provided by these fixed interest annuities are getting very, very competitive. Again, as of the date of this recording, now these rates do fluctuate, so you need to call our offices if you're interested in looking at current rates, but can be anywhere from a guaranteed 3% all the way to 4%, and again, that's guaranteed. Your principal's guaranteed and your interest. Now, the third type of annuity, we'll get into that here shortly, and then we have the 4th type of annuity that we'll cover next week, which is called the immediate annuity, and that would be like Granddad's pension plan that I like to talk about. So, what is this third type of annuity? And is it something that, yes, I would invest in myself? The answer is yes. Is it something my wife, Susan, who is as conservative as an investor as it comes, invest in? The answer is yes. And with this recent downturn of the stock market, is it a product that allowed me and thousands of other clients who have this product in Tony Walker Financial sleep really good at night, knowing that their money was safe and secure, even though the stock market was spiraling out of control? An emphatic yes, this product does provide what I like to call sleep insurance. So what product are we talking about? You stay tuned. I'll be right back. You're listening to The Worry-Free Retirement.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Do you have a 401k, IRA, thrift savings account, 403b, or lump sum pension that you'd like to move to safer territory? Did you know that all the money you see on your 401k statement isn't really yours? Depending on your overall taxable income, the government has essentially a lien on your 401k that can tax as much as 40% of your money when you go to take it out. Tony Walker calls this the 401k tax tumor. For over 33 years, retirement specialist Tony Walker has helped thousands of savers worry less about money by creating game plans to deal with your tax tumor. Get control of your retirement by controlling the taxes owed on it. Schedule a free meeting to see if you can reduce your tax tumor and provide a guaranteed income you can never outlive. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Well, the date was just shortly after 9/11. They had flown into those Twin Towers. Myself, as an investment advisor managing money, I was telling everybody to just hang in there. Everything was going to be fine. Not real reassuring, especially if you're retired or nearing retirement. But really, that was all the response I had, considering I had most of my clients' money in the stock market going into 9/11. You see, the 90s was, we like to call that the go-go 90s. In the investment world. I mean, you could take a dart and throw it at a dartboard full of stocks and you could come out a winner. So again, when they flew into those buildings, the stock market shut down, it went down, and we came out of that, and I thought, oh my gosh, if I really am trying to focus on retirement planning, which was kind of my bent going into 2001, 2002, I really wanted to be a retirement specialist and was working towards that. I thought, I cannot continue to put this much of my clients' money at risk. I mean, this is crazy. So I didn't know what to do. I had heard in the 90s about a product that was relatively new called a fixed indexed annuity. So there you go. I just gave away our third annuity we'll be talking about, the fixed indexed annuity. So again, this product was created in the mid-90s. The concept of a fixed indexed annuity is that the product, which again, annuities are issued by insurance companies, the product would not really invest in the stock market, but participate in it. I know that sounds a little kind of squirrely. You're thinking, well, what do you mean it participates in the market? Well, basically, with a fixed indexed annuity, the insurance company takes your money. They're basically still investing all the money that you give them in corporate bonds, government bonds, real safe mortgages. They're not putting your money at risk. What they're doing is they're taking their normal dividends they make and normally would just pay you that in a form of a fixed interest annuity. And instead, you're making the conscious decision to select an indexed annuity. So they take that interest and buy options in the stock market. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on how these options work, but basically what that means is your principal is protected. It's not exposed to the stock market. The only thing exposed to the stock market are the dividends that are in the market buying options. So let me kind of fast forward again, go back in time again. And as I'm thinking through this, I'm thinking, okay, I want to learn more about these fixed indexed annuities, but I didn't know really where to find out much information. They were so new. Most of the advisors I knew didn't know much about them. I didn't know much about them. And by chance, I got this random invitation by a gentleman by the name of Rick Metcalf. And this was back in 2002, August of 2002, to come to San Diego and attend a conference that he was giving on these products called fixed indexed annuities. And I thought, well, I checked the guy out. He seemed legit. They paid for me to come out there. The deal was if you were going to sell these fixed indexed annuities. You get licensed through their company so they could make commissions. And I thought, well, whatever, if it works, it works. I was pretty desperate to find something safe. So I went out there, attended a conference on a Thursday and Friday. I was really blown away with the information, loved the products, kind of understood where they were going with them. Tragically, Mr. Metcalf, who was really a leader in our industry back then, was killed that weekend on a jet ski, August 7th, 2002. So his company survived. I continued to learn, of course, ventured off on my own over time, which in this industry most of us become independent anyway. But I'm really thankful that I ran into that gentleman, and unfortunately, really, we lost a key individual in our industry. But nevertheless, I thought, I want to learn more about this product. And since that time, like I said, it has been a huge focus of our practice at Tony Walker Financial. And again, as we go through this product, if you're interested in learning more, I would encourage you to go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and on that homepage, you can scroll down, click on the icon, and download that free Annuity Decision Guide for Savers. That's going to walk you through all the different types of annuities and how we work with them. So anyway, Tony, you might say, okay, well, how do these products work? Give me an example of a fixed indexed annuity in action. And this is a graphic we use sometimes at our workshops, and I think I can verbally share this with you. Of course, we're here with America's favorite financial sidekick and his sidekick, Matt Stebbins, producing the show. So, Aaron, you kind of give me a nod if you're saying, yeah, this is going to make sense. Incidentally, we have major TV stations now carrying the Worry-Free Retirement. Might be something you want to check out, because obviously we can do these visuals on TV. It's obviously a whole lot easier to see these on TV than trying to see it through your radio. No pun intended, folks. So anyway, let's imagine you've got $100,000, all right? And you've got two options. You can either take that money to Wall Street, or you can run it over to what we call Main Street and purchase one of these fixed indexed annuities through someone like us. Now, as an investment advisor and fiduciary, certainly we could put money in Wall Street, but most of our clients have no more than 30% of their money in the market. We're usually putting a larger chunk in these fixed indexed annuities, and here's why. So let's imagine the first year at Wall Street, you put your $100,000 in, it goes up 20%. That's a great gain. Let's say the advisors and all the fees come out at 2.4, but you still have $117,000 left in the account. Pretty good return. Again, all this is hypothetical, folks. We're just trying to explain how these products work. Second year, Wall Street, your money goes up again by 20%. You're now up to $140,000. Wally World still gets their fee of 2.4%, so you net out in your account on paper $137,000 of funding money. It's there, right? It's on paper. Remember, it's not really there until you convert it to cash, but here's why. The third year, we're making a hypothetical assumption that the market drops 20%, which is pretty much what it's done in 2019. We've had almost a 20% drop in the market, more depending on where you had it. Had someone, Aaron, come in last night, and they had well over $1 million in their 401k plan, and since this downturn, it's about $840. How's that sound? Hopefully that Duracell stock your grandmother left you is doing better than that, Aaron. Okay. Anyway, with that downturn, Wally World still got fees on it because, again, the advisor, including us, gets paid whether you make money or not. After the third year with Wally World, you're down to $107,000. Now, here's the problem with this. Again, now we're into the hang-in-there syndrome, because all you can really do is sell at a loss, which is probably not the best thing to do, or, which I told people after 2001, after 9/11, you're just going to have to hang in there. And imagine you're retired and needing income. In fact, in our next segment, I'm going to walk you through this scenario in more detail, and imagine you're taking income out. Talking about losing sleep at night, this is going to be a bummer, but we've got to understand what can happen when you get in the funny money business, all right? So in this example, let's just stop at year 3, and we see that with Wally World in this example, making 20 one year, making 20 the next year, losing 20 the third year, your original $100,000 is at $107 after fees, and you're thinking, well, gosh, at least I'm still ahead of where I put my money in. Well, let's slide over to Main Street, and assuming we had taken this same amount of money and invested it in a fixed indexed annuity with Tony Walker Financial. Now, let me preface this. All annuities, fixed indexed annuities, come with what's called different participation rates. That means how much are you going to participate in upward climbs of the stock market. In this example, we're assuming you have an annual point-to-point contract with a 40% participation rate. So bear with me. All right. So you put your money in the same time you put it in at Wall Street, 100,000. The market goes up 20%. Since this is a 40% participation product, you would make 8% on your money. Now, there's no fees on this product, so that 8% is added to the 100, and you have $108,000. Of course, if you looked at that from just comparing it to the first year, that's why in the 90s I wasn't too crazy about this. I'm thinking, wait a minute, I could have had 117 over here, only have 108. But here's the neat part. With the fixed indexed annuity, that now becomes your new floor. That 108,000 cannot go down. Keep that in mind. Very important as we walk through this illustration. Number 2, we go to year number 2. Same thing. Remember, you made 20% in Wally World. So we get that 20%. We multiply it by 40%. That's the participation rate. You're going to get 40% of the 20, or 8. So now your 108 has no fees. We add on the extra 8, which now grows to $116,640. No fees. All right. We're still behind Wally World. I get that. But let's go to year 3. Remember, with Wally World, 20% you lose all that money, plus you have fees, and all of a sudden you're down to 107, scared to death, because nobody knows what the market's going to do, right? This is funny money. We don't know, and nobody can predict whether it's going to go back up or down. Again, not a bad position to be in if you're 45 or 50. Scary position to be in if you're, over the age of 60 and trying to depend on this money for retirement. So now, what happens to this indexed annuity? After the end of the second year, remember the amount, we had $116,640. The market tanks 20%. Here's the beauty of this. We lose nothing. Nada. All right? Even though it went down 20%, granted, you don't make anything, but you don't lose anything. So at the end of that third year, you would still have $116,640. So folks, if you're sitting there and you're worried about the market, again, here we are, 1st of January 2019. I always say nobody can time the market. I'm not trying to say I can. What I'm saying is, if you're a saver and you're worried about running out of money and you're worried about all this risk and you're worried about the stock market, my point is, why in the world would you go there? There's no need to. At Tony Walker Financial, we can provide these same types of products. We've provided over 2,500 of these fixed indexed annuities, totaling well over $300 million. We, again, are one of the leading producers of these products in the country, and I'm right here in your backyard and willing to meet and help you decide if these products are right for you. So what we're going to do, now we're going to get into an actual case scenario of someone, again, we're going to do some hypotheticals, but someone who is now retired. They've got 2 choices. They're going to either roll that 401k, that's going to be their baby, right? They got to take care of it. They can either roll that 401k into an IRA with Wally World, or we're going to imagine they take that same 401k and roll it into a fixed indexed annuity with Tony Walker Financial. Really good stuff. If you're retired or nearing retirement, this particular segment is going to be for you. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Can you afford for your money to take a hit with the stock market being so volatile these days? Nobody can time the market, but having a retirement game plan with Tony Walker Financial gives you peace of mind and sleep insurance. Learn how to prevent losses in your retirement accounts and plan your retirement around an income you can never outlive. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com today to schedule a personal meeting with Tony to secure your hard-earned money. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Annuities. Some people love them and some people hate them. Regardless of how you feel about annuities, one thing's for sure, annuities are the only financial product that can guarantee an income you can never outlive. I'm Tony Walker, and regardless of whether you're thinking about buying an annuity or you have a current annuity that you would like me to review, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Since 9/11, we've written over 2,500 annuities, and we can help you by getting started now.
And now it's time for Tony in the Trenches.
All right, our Tony in the Trenches comes from Sally, who's actually from Louisville, Kentucky, where we're recording this show today. And Sally has a question for me, and actually it was in person. This was after our second appointment, and Sally asked the following question, something like this, I'm paraphrasing. Tony, I like these fixed indexed annuities you're talking about, but if they're so great, how come you're not suggesting I put 100% of my money in them at this time? And that's a great question, and something people have to realize. As a fiduciary, I'm not going to ever recommend that someone put 100% of their money in any one product. That not only is not feasible, but it's just not wise to do that. In fact, even though my wife and I have probably 50 to 60%, it depends on what the market's doing, 50 to 60% of our money in fixed indexed annuities, we don't have all of our money there. Number one, they're not 100% liquid. So the problem with a fixed indexed annuity, if you just go yank it out all of a sudden, you're going to pay surrender charges more than likely. Also, this is for my retirement, and I want this money long term, so I don't want to touch it. So that means I need other monies accessible in case things come up. For instance, I have a lot of dividend participating whole life. The building we recently purchased in Louisville last year. Fortunately, I was able to borrow the money out tax-free to buy this building. Well, if I'd taken all that money out of the fixed indexed annuities, I would have had taxes, I would have had surrender charges, and then I would have had lost opportunity costs because I'd lost the investment interest I'm making on them. So this is what a retirement planning specialist really does. So if anybody recommends you put 100% of your money into any one product, if it were me, that's a good indication to get a second opinion and get with us at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. All right, we've been talking about these fixed indexed annuities. In the last segment, I covered basically how they work. Now we want to know how they work if you take income out of a retirement account. So in this example, I'm going to say we've got person A and person B. Person A says, okay, Tony, I want to put my money in your Charles Schwab platform. And we do have a Charles Schwab platform. We were not associated with Charles Schwab. We use Charles Schwab as our custodian. I handle all the selections. We have 3 portfolios. They're all very, very conservative, but we do charge a fee of 0.6%, which is generally well below the industry average. But let's imagine you put it there or anywhere. You could go to anybody with Wally World and decide to put that money there. So let's imagine this happens, okay? So you take the $500,000, your 401k, and you roll it into an individual IRA in Wall Street. And let's say after that first year, it grows by 5%. And the example we're going to use throughout the rest of this segment, each year, we've determined you want to take out $25,000 a year of income. So this works out pretty good the first year. You make 5% on the $500,000. You pull out 5% or $25,000. At the end of the year, you got $500,000 still. And you're thinking, boy, this is working out great. I was able to take income. My principal's intact. What's wrong with this picture, Tony? All right. Same thing in the 90s. Nothing, right? Anyway, next year, your beginning balance starts out at $500,000. Let's say you make 5% again. Again, just hypotheticals. We're just trying to help you understand how these things work. You need your $25,000. You take it out. You're still at $500,000. The math is working out great. This funny money is a lot of fun because you're making good money and not touching principal. Third year, we're going to bring on the bad news. Imagine we're in a 2018 again. The market drops 20%. Okay, you heard that, didn't you, Aaron? You just lost 20%. All right. But what are you going to do? Not take income? I mean, you got to live. Martha's wanting to, get out and travel and everything else you've been talking about. So you take out the $25,000. Unfortunately, now the hang in there syndrome starts because you're down to $375,000 in your account just that 1 year. So again, you hang in there. You don't know what to do. You start off the next year at age 68. Again, we're just going through the ages with a beginning balance of $375,000. The market drops again, another 20%. And you're saying, oh, Tony, surely that couldn't happen. I said, yeah, it could. You just go back to 2000, 2001, and 2002. Folks, we had 3 bad years in a row. This could happen. Now, will it? I don't know, but it could. And you got to think of woulda, shoulda, coulda when you're out handling your money like this because you got one shot to get this right in retirement. You go through something like this, and I can assure you, you're going to start really, really worrying about your money. So we lose another 20%. We got to have our $25,000, right? We got to still live. Now you and Martha are looking at your year-end account statement after the 4th year. It was $500,000. Want to guess, Aaron, what it's down to now? Have you been over there trying to do the math in your head? No, he says, he's still not even awake, folks. It's down to $275,000. So now, age 69, $275,000. Even if you make 20% back, You think, oh, good, now I'm getting back. Well, you still need your $25,000. You're still only at $305,000. So, folks, this is no way to deal with retirement, especially if you're a saver and worried about the stock market. So what do? We go over on Main Street. We look at some guarantees, and in this example, we're going to put it in a 50% participation fixed indexed annuity. Let's go through the same scenario. What's going to happen here? All right. After the first year, remember the market went up 5%. We're going to make half of that, or 2.5, and we need to take out $25,000. So actually our principal does drop to about $487,500. That's because you didn't make enough interest in the fixed indexed annuity to keep up with the income. We repeat the process again at age 66. Our beginning balance is $487,500. We make 5% on our money in the market, which gives us 2.5. Remember, we multiply that by our 50% participation rate. We have to take out another $25,000. Now we're down to $474. Now, folks, before you get alarmed, guess what? This is really how retirement should work. In the real world, it's very difficult to draw money out and totally protect principal. Sometimes we can do it, but usually you can't, because the idea is when you're in your mid-60s, who cares, right? That's the ages you want to enjoy your money, because what's going to happen is as you get into what I call the second half of life, when you get into your 70s and particularly 80s, you're not going to need near as much income. So this idea of the account gradually going down, it's not a bad thing at all. So bear with me, all right? All right, that next year, age 67, remember now we're down to 474 because we've taken out $25,000 2 years in a row. It's pulled our principal down a little bit, but the market goes down 20%. Remember how bad it was in the stock market if this happens. With us, we don't lose a penny. We still send you $25,000. Now you're down to $449. Next year, the market loses 20. We don't lose a penny. However, we do still want to take out our $25,000. We're at $424. Now, that's at the end of the fourth year of this scenario. Remember, in our Main Street scenario here, we have $424 ending balance. With Wall Street, we're down to $275. Now, age 69, the market, remember, in our example, went up 20, so we make 10. 50% of 20 is 10. And now we're back up to $441. Remember, Wally World at this point is at $305. So in this example, over 5 years, under this hypothetical example, with the fixed indexed annuity, we would have $441,000, absolutely no risk. With Wally World, we'd be at $305 and all kinds of uncertainty. So folks, here's kind of where we're going with all this. Annuities are wonderful products. I know you might get on the internet or you might watch late night TV and you got a lot of grumpy old fellows out there that keep talking about how much they hate annuities. Folks, these are people from Wall Street. They don't sell annuities, they don't understand annuities, and they don't work with savers. These people are focused on investors and speculators. That's why we always say that this show is dedicated to savers. We're looking to help people who are concerned more with the return of their money than the return on it. We're looking for people to help that want consistent, even keel rates of return. We're not trying to shoot the moon here. We're not saying we can get you 7, 8, 9%. We're trying to get you 1 to 4%, but we're more importantly showing you how to save on taxes, when to take Social Security, how to keep fees down. Because if you can do those types of things and reduce costs, what I've discovered in doing this for over 34 years, you don't have to make these huge rates of return, and thus you don't have to put all your money at risk. So what's the next step? What should you do if you're a saver and you feel like nobody's in your corner? It's really easy. You just want to go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Now, there's two things you can do there. Obviously, if you want to learn more about the truth of annuities, scroll down, download that free annuity decision guide for savers. That's a great little booklet. And then after you read it, give us a call. Or if you're ready to meet in person at either our Bowling Green or Louisville, Kentucky office, just click on the Let's Get Started button. Give us a call, of course, at 877-499-9255. That's 877-499-WALK. Again, our website is TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and I'll look forward to talking to you soon. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's program. Next week on the Worry-Free Retirement, I'll be talking about Granddad's pension and the concept of whether you might want to consider something called an immediate annuity. We'll look forward to talking to you then, but in the meantime, you remember, between now and then, if all else fails, you be worry-free.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it. You don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do.